Alright, today we're going to learn how to assemble pieces of a puzzle, in this case, to create the entire puzzle. So we're going to take individual pieces and we're going to assemble them. And make sure that we're in our puzzle cube project, that's selected. And I'm going to go to new and I'm going to choose standard IAM. This is an assembly file. So go ahead and choose that. And it's good to have some sort of reference in your journals. You should have pictures that reference how the cube goes together. And so make sure that you have some sort of reference. I've got a picture of how mine goes together because otherwise it could get a little confusing. So make sure you have that on hand. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and go and place, and I'm going to place one of my components. Now my blue cube or piece is in the bottom portion of my cube, so I'm going to put this first. So you choose whatever piece is going to be put down for yourself. And once it's down there, I'm going to right click and go to done. And if you notice, this piece right here is going to be grounded. If I right click on this, grounded is checked. What that means is I cannot move this piece. It's just going to stay right where it's supposed to be. All the other pieces that I'm going to put into here, I can move around, but this piece is always going to stay still. So I'm just going to place the rest of my pieces, my black piece, place right there, and I'm going to go to my isometric view so that I can zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to go to done, and I'm going to place my brown piece right there and go to done. I'm going to place my red piece right there, and then I'm going to go to done, and I'm going to place my yellow piece right there and go to done. Then I'm going to go back to isometric view again. So here are all my pieces. Now what I'm going to start with is the black piece, and if I look at my picture, the black long ways goes right here and my double goes right there. So what I'm going to do is look right here. So that means that this face has to move along right along here, and this one is going to go inside this little groove here. So I'm going to go to rotate, and I'm going to rotate this piece. So I clicked on rotate, I click on the piece I want to rotate, and I'm going to try and rotate this into roughly the position that it needs to be in. This tool can be a little hard to use because it only wants to rotate in one direction, but if you just get it kind of where it needs to go and then click again outside the box, and then now I've got my cube kind of where I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and what I want to do is I want to constrain this piece to this piece. So I'm going to click constrain, and I'm going to do this type of constraint. I'm going to mate these two together. So it's going to ask me for one face and two face to mate together. So I'm going to click this face right here, and then I'm going to rotate around, and I want to mate it to this part of my black piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You're going to hear a little click sound if you have your headphones on. And so now those two things are stuck together. Okay? And the next thing we want to do is mate this piece with this piece. So I'm going to click apply because I like what's happening here. And now I can mate another two pieces together. So I'm going to slip my mouse right in here and click, and then I'm going to move so that I can see this other piece right here, and I'm going to mate those two together. Now those two are constrained together. But as you see, the piece is inside, my black piece is going inside of my blue piece. So we're going to do, I'm going to apply this, I'm going to do a different kind of constraint. This one right here makes things flush. What that means is I can make this part and this part, make it so that they are flush together, so that they're one smooth piece. So if I click on this type of constraint, I can click on this face, and you'll see that they become flush with one another. I'm going to click apply, I'm going to go to my isometric view and zoom in, and it looks like, I'm going to cancel out of this for a sec. It looks like everything so far is locked into place. The black and the blue pieces are mated and they're doing well, and they're all flushed together. Okay? So I'm going to go back to isometric again. The next piece I'm going to put in is my red piece. You can put these in any order you want, but I'm going to choose to do the red piece because that goes on top of the black one. So I'm going to kind of position it into the position that I want first, and I'm going to move the brown and the yellow out of the way for a second. And it's kind of not going in exactly the right place that I want. Let me look at my picture again. I want the little piece to be here and the longer piece to go along the top. So I may have to do some rotating here. This long piece, it basically needs to be swapped around like this. So if I click rotate and I rotate this piece, I can spin it around like this, and now it's going to be easier to use. So I'll click outside again to get rid of the rotate, and I want to constrain these pieces together. So I think I'm going to constrain this part of the red with this part of the blue. So I'm going to go to constrain, and we're on our mating, not our flush. So make sure that mate is selected, and I'm going to mate this piece with this piece. Alright, and now they're mated together, but you can see that the red cube is not flush, and so what I'm going to do is apply and then click the flush one, and I'm going to flush this side with this side right here. Okay, looking better. I'm going to click apply, but there's still a gap right there, so make sure that there's no gaps. I don't want this gap to show up here. So what I'm going to do is flush this side with this side. So I'm on flush, and I'm going to do those two sides together, and now everything looks pretty good. So I'll click apply. Alright, moving right along. The next thing I'm going to do is put my brown piece in, and the brown piece goes in right here, I believe. Let me check to make sure. Yes, that's right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get out of constraints, and I'm going to move this into place because I want to make sure that it's close to my object before I start messing with it. Sometimes when you do this and the pieces aren't kind of aligned already, you're going to get some weird results, so just keep that in mind. Alright, now that they're slightly aligned, they don't have to be perfect, they just have to kind of look like they're going to go into one another. I'm going to go to constrain, and I'm going to choose mate, make sure that mate is the one that we're doing. I'm going to do this face right here. Let me move this so I can see it better. I'm going to do this face with this face. Alright, so those two are mated. Very nice. And I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to apply, I'm going to constrain mate this face with this face. There we go. Looking pretty good. Apply that. And now I'm going to flush the brown and the red, or the brown and the black, it doesn't really matter. Brown and red. Okay, everything looks like it's fitting very nicely. Okay, the last thing I want to do, I'm going to go to isometric, is get the yellow one into place. So I'm going to move this over to kind of the area that we want it to be in, and move it up a little bit. Yep, just like that. Alright, now I want to make this piece with this piece of the yellow. So I'll hit constrain, and I've got mate. Mate is going to automatically be the one that we're going to be on, so I'm going to mate this with this. Alright. And I'm going to mate this part of the red, so I'll apply this part of the red. Let me zoom in to make sure that I'm getting it right. Okay, I'm going to mate this part of the red with this part of the yellow. Very nice. Apply. Go back to isometric. Oh, it's poking out right here. So I'm going to go to flush, and I'm going to make this and this flush. Click apply. And it looks like our cube is complete. If I go back to isometric, I'm going to click cancel on my constraints. Now if I look at this cube, it looks like everything fits together nicely. So make sure that your cube fits together. Look at all the angles and make sure that every single piece, that there's no pieces poking out, that there's no gaps between your puzzle cube. And it should be all assembled and ready to go. And that's how you do an assembly.